Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central Time, as we get to ride home with each other. You know, you can find us on the radio at iacradio.media. You can also find us on television, 182 Charter Communications, Abundant Television, which we're syndicated, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. Continue sending emails. It makes my day. Again, thank you so much for doing that. You know, I've been asked by a potential advertiser, Donna, why should I advertise with you? And I say, well, first of all, we have the best sponsors. I mean, you know, we help everybody out. They're all part of the world, but we also have the best audience, and we have the absolute best guest. And I've got one with me right now. Her name is Linda Hansen. Linda, great to be with you today.
Well, thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Okay, so folks want to know how they can get in contact with you, Prosperity 101.
Absolutely. Prosperity101.com. So prosperity101.com. They can always go there and use the contact form. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can also follow me on Instagram. I have two accounts there, Linda_J_Hansen with an E, or Prosperity_101_LLC. But I'd say LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm also on Getter and Truth. A little on Facebook, not as much, but LinkedIn, Instagram, Getter and Truth. And then, of course, reach me through the website, prosperity101.com. And I look forward to hearing from your listeners, learning how I can serve them. But also, I'd love to hear their thoughts and opinions. And I just really appreciate the varied audience that you have. And I appreciate the opportunity to learn from them as well.
Well, they love you, and I just wanted to mention that to you as well. So we just had this overwhelming, wonderful election, and I feel like God's giving us another chance. It's like, because for the past 3 and almost 4 years, we've all felt like we were in darkness or something. I don't know how to explain it.
Definitely been a ceiling. I feel like there's been a ceiling, you know, and we waited. It's like, for those of us who've been pregnant, you know, you wait, you have pregnant expectation, and you go through a lot of pain in the interim. And I feel like the last 4 years have just been a season of darkness, in a sense. There's been a sense of darkness over our nation. There's been cancellations of patriots. There's been lawfare. There's been censorship. There's been debanking. There's been violence. There's been, you know, peaceful protests. You know, it just goes from bad to worse. And we've learned all about, you know, the trafficking and so many things that are just so incredibly evil. But I look at these 4 years and say, thank you, God, that we had to go through that. Because if you have a cancerous tumor or you have some infection, you have to realize what it is, that it is there, and you have to understand how to cure that, right? Like if you have a cancerous tumor, you have to go in and have surgery and get it out, right? The symptoms will just keep growing unless you don't. And so I look and I say, these last 4 years have been a bit like that. They have exposed a lot of evil and a lot of corruption in our government and across our nation, but they have also shown the light to be brighter. And, you know, people have risen up, people from all walks of life. It is no longer, you know, the establishment in charge. It's we, the people, back in charge. And it is so incredibly exciting. And for people who say, oh, the Republicans are a bunch of racists or whatever, the MAGA people, look at the variety in the movement. I mean, it is incredible. Every age, every ethnic background, every race, religion, everything. People came out to say, look, we don't want this tyranny in America. We don't want it. And it's just really exciting to see what happened.
Well, see, we can't learn, or I'm talking about myself here. I seem to not be able to learn anything in life unless I go through some rough spots. So look at your analogy of this. So, okay, so you know, we all wanted, and I have my opinion. I think the election was rigged last time. But had Donna gotten Donna's way, and President Trump had been president then, do you think we would be in the spot we're in right now? Because we really didn't know how. Trump was telling us that, this is a swamp here. And well, I don't think we realized what the swamp was without experiencing the last 3.5 years.
Well, I think that that's true for the average American who's not been involved in fighting the swamp. Mm-hmm. It's hard to describe it. For those of us who've been, non-establishment before non-establishment was cool, or MAGA before MAGA was cool, the headwinds have been very strong over the years. And you begin to see how deep and divisive and how evil so many people are. It doesn't mean everybody on the opposite side of the fence. I want to qualify that and say, I have some great friends who are Democrats, and they have not, like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., they said, I didn't leave that party. The party left me. So it isn't the people, it's the policies. And that's how it is all the way around. It isn't, yes, those of us who voted for Donald Trump this election, yes, we see Donald Trump as this great leader. I mean, he's been chosen for such a time as this, and he's had the strength and the fortitude to keep fighting and to keep going and things. But it's not Trump we're necessarily fighting for. It goes so beyond Trump, because he's just got 4 years. Politicians come and go. Policies hang around, right? And so, yes, it's great that we have someone who has that character quality of tenacity and bravery and courage and patriotism and faith, all those qualities. But he has 4 years. We pray he has 4 years, and then what? So we have to look at the policies that are going to take us into future generations. And what happened on Tuesday night was actually, a generational mandate. It was a generational shift, which is fantastic. And I love the fact that the youth vote came over for Trump. So much, incredible amounts. The shift in the youth vote, that gives me hope for America. It really does.
It does with me as well. And I saw several interviews, youth and people, girls, boys who were in college. And so one really struck my attention. And this is what she said. They asked her who she was going to vote for. And she said, Donald Trump, young, beautiful girl going to college. And they said, well, why are you voting for Donald Trump? And she said, because I'm having to live with my parents and go to college. She said, I can't afford even renting anywhere.
Right.
No, I'm from the generation where the 1970s, as soon as you graduate from high school, you go ahead and do the console, you're out of there.
Go to the door. Yeah.
Yeah. But this poor generation has not been able to experience that. Mm-hmm. And it has to be a lacking on our part for letting it happen.
Well, if people have watched like any of Charlie Kirk's interviews when he's been on campuses, I just encourage you, go to charliekirk.com or Turning Point, USA.com, turningpointaction.com. Just go and look at these interviews he's had on college campuses where people come up and, why are you voting for Trump? And he'll say, well, I have a whole bunch of reasons for voting for Trump, but you tell me why you're voting for Kamala. And inevitably they couldn't really come up with anything. And the thing about it is they're beginning to see that these false promises are truly that, false promises. And, they can't afford a home. Charlie would often ask them, would you like to afford a home someday? Under Trump, you had to earn $75,000 a year to afford a home. But under Kamala, it's, I think, $135,000 or something. So don't quote me on the numbers. I'm never good on exact numbers. But I think, we know from our lived experience that it's been different economically. But then women, they don't want to have men in their bathrooms and their locker rooms. Like, this is not rocket science. They do not want biological men. That women do not want biological men in their prisons, in their domestic abuse shelters. They do not want this. And so, people came out in droves against this ridiculous policies of gender I don't know, just gender confusion and being able to do that. We fought for Title IX years ago. We fought for women's sports. These are things that, we need to make sure our daughters, our granddaughters, that we have the right to safety and security. People were sick of the crime coming across the border. People are fed up with paying out of their own hard-earned money to pay for these illegals to live in fancy hotels, have their transportation, their medication, their food, everything paid for by us. It's insanity. While we have homeless veterans or people who lost loved ones, Gold Star families, no. I think people are done with that and saying, no, we will take care of Americans and America first. It doesn't mean we don't care about everybody else, but we take care of our own family first.
You're spot on. Phil and I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina for around 9 years, and I love the Carolinas. My heart's still there. Mm-hmm. And what happened with the hurricane, when it came to Asheville, it was just disheartening. Now, we'll say this, Asheville is pretty much, the liberal capital of the state. I mean, it really is. But a lot of those folks changed their mind when they were getting no help from FEMA. Mm-hmm. Churches were coming in, were told to back off. Their water they were sending was being confiscated. Food, all of those things were really literally happening. And I know this to be true. The Cowboy Church, we go to Cowboy Church, and American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches is a huge organization. They will go anywhere where there's a disaster. It doesn't matter. They don't ask questions. They just go. So they bring their chuck wagons and they'll cook food, best food you'll ever have, by the way. Mm-hmm. And so they'll do anything to help. And so, our bodies, we can live without food for so many days, but we've got to have water. We must have it. So they were collecting water from everywhere, and they were met by the FEMA folks saying, you can't do that. And so, but there was a sheriff he was in Tennessee, probably like the same Walking Tall kind of a guy. You remember that movie? I am.
Tall and carry a big stick. Yeah.
We're not going to have that. He said, these people are getting what they need. But anyway, wound up getting their way. So, but things like that were happening. And even the liberals in Asheville that I know were saying, that's not right.
Right.
So I think that's why, because I was expecting North Carolina, a lot of libs have moved into North Carolina because it's affordable. It's a great place to live, beautiful scenery, the whole works, great jobs. And with that happening, I think that's what tipped it, because I was so afraid North Carolina this time was going to go to Kamala. It almost did, but it didn't.
Almost did, right? Yeah, and look at Wisconsin. I mean, it's just incredible what's happened across the nation. And I do want to give a hats off to these outside groups too. And I'll give a big shout out to Turning Point. I've been involved with Turning Point, and the effort to go get the disengaged voters, the low propensity voters, to chase the votes has been amazing. And so I give kudos to Charlie Kirk. I want to give a big shout out to Brett Galachewski here in Wisconsin, but also to Tyler Boyer. They have really created a grassroots organization that is incredible. And what has changed so much since, say, the 2008 to 2010 cycle, when I was very, very involved in helping to shift what happened in Wisconsin. We had the Republican Party doing its thing back then, and the Tea Party movement was just really gaining steam back then. But there needed to be some cohesive organization. So we set up. We and my colleague and I, we worked very, very hard to create organizations that would not only build up the grassroots, but to help intellectual ammunition, founded a think tank. We helped gather lawyers together to fight things proactively and reactively. We helped raise money so people could attend to go to candidate and activist training. And back then is when I started Prosperity 101, because employers were telling me they would leave the state if a business-friendly governor wasn't elected. Well, so many people go to voting booths and vote themselves out of their jobs. I say that often, but it's true. And so these things, you have this outside the party grassroots movement that is so critically important, because it's neighbor to neighbor. It's, person to person, colleague to colleague, family member to family member. It's relational organizing. And we were doing that back before it really had a term. And that's how the Herman Cain campaign was too. We had a movement, for those who maybe haven't listened before, but I was deputy chief of staff for Herman Cain's presidential campaign. And prior to Trump's campaign, we had the largest political rally ever. And, he was this Black conservative. He was non-establishment. America wanted a Herman Cain. They wanted a businessman, someone who could be strong and stand up against the establishment. And it took off like wildfire. We had a grassroots army down to the precinct level in all 50 states before he dropped out. And of course, because he was polling higher than Obama and he was a Black conservative, they had to take him out. And we didn't have Twitter or Trump's money. But the moral of that story is that it's the ground game. It's the relationships you form with your neighbors, your friends, your family, your colleagues, that, it is up to us. We can't depend on a political party or one person. It has to be we, the people, and everybody has to be engaged enough. It's like, you have to go to the grocery store to get your food, right? Or you at least have to order it from somewhere to get delivered. You have to make these decisions in order to feed yourself. If you want your freedom, you better step up to the plate and get involved.
Okay, let's talk about this. Okay, so we've been given another chance. God is blessing us.
Yes.
Okay, because I'm just telling you, the way Trump has been treated, most people would have collapsed. I'm just telling you, he just kept going and going. I think God's got his hand on him. Is he a minister? No. But is he a leader? Yes. Definitely he's a leader. Do you think he's going to hold a grudge at the people who mistreated him, or is he just going to go, plow, let's be successful?
I think he's going to just go be successful. He has no interest in dividing the country. Mm-hmm. He has an interest in uniting the country. And I know if you have any, progressive leftists listening to this, they'll probably scream and shout say, I'm making that up, but no. And he does not want to divide the country. He wants to unite the country. There is room for all of us in America to have our opinions. There is room, but we need to follow the Constitution and we need to follow the rule of law. And, it gets down to treating your neighbor like you'd like to be treated. We have the golden rule. We have that Judeo-Christian background in America. So we have the golden rule. It's like, well, hello, don't shout and yell at your opponent. And people will say Trump has called names and he, doesn't always do things as classy as they'd like. Well, true. He's just a person who, doesn't always do things the way that some people want. But look at the results of the overall picture and look at his overall life. I'd like to tell people too, you want everything that you've ever said that came out of your mouth that just is like, okay, kind of wish I hadn't said that way.
I hope not.
Yeah. I've been all the time. And, you want it played over and over and over and over again for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 30 years. Things he said 30 years ago, weren't that great sometimes. But he also did really great things. And he's had a heart of gold to help people who needed help. And he's done so much behind the scenes long before he ever ran for president, long before he was ever even thinking about that. So he's not a man who, is in this for himself. Good grief, if he was in this for himself, he'd be on a golf course somewhere. He doesn't have to do this. He didn't have to take bullets. He didn't have to, be up till 3 a.m. half the time flying from one event to another. And, he doesn't have to. People who haven't done campaigns have no idea how absolutely exhausting it is. And you live on adrenaline for so long. Campaigns are, I mean, I've run marathons, but campaigns are like marathons that go on for months. It's like, and you really don't have the opportunity to pace yourself all the time, because you get hit with a lot of things that it's like you just got to do. And it gets down to election day and you wish you still had more time, but people have no idea what it takes, and the energy, the stamina, the fortitude. He's incredible. I mean, not only just that, but he's incredible. But I also think that his family that he's had behind him has been incredible. And when people talk about how, crazy he is, I say, just follow his family around. They're not crazy. They're really wonderful. And they're so proud of him, and they're so united. And it's just a great era, I think, that we can bring back some really solid values. And, to all the people who want to nitpick things they don't like about Trump, I really encourage you, look at the bigger picture. Look at the bigger picture. Being involved in politics forever, I have often had candidates I didn't like certain things about them, but I have to look at the bigger picture and say, what are the policies? What does this person's position, policies, candidacy, whatever, mean for not just me, but for our next generation? And
because that's what it's all about right there. The next generation.
Exactly. And if we think back to the 4 years when President Trump was already in office, we had 4 years of peace and prosperity. We had peace in the Middle East. We had no new wars. We had higher home ownership for every segment of society. We had lower jobless rates. Our inflation was down. Our energy costs were down. We were energy independent. Our economy was booming. We can see already the stock market has already shot up just because he won. They know that there's stability, and there's parades all over the world celebrating that Trump won, because they know that without a strong America, they can't have a strong Japan. They can't have a strong Hungary. We need we need to be the leader, the beacon of freedom for the world.
Mm-hmm. We definitely do. Let me ask you another question. Okay, but let me say this first. Okay, I have one son, and so he was all boy. I'm just telling you, he was all over the place. If he was ever quiet, I would go find him and see what he was up to. I promise you, he was up to something. Okay,
yeah, he was sick, right? Or he had a fever.
The Democrats are a little quiet this morning, which makes me a little bit nervous, because they're still in office right now. They still have the power until President Trump comes back in. Mm-hmm. Are they up to something? Could something happen that would just destroy this whole thing before President Trump gets in?
I'm sure they're up to something. I mean, they are, because we are battling good versus evil. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's Democrats now who are in their minds saying, well, that was, you can see that there's a mandate from the people, and there's good people on both sides of the fence. I want to be sure and say that, right? Mm-hmm. But to the extremists that have sought to not only destroy Trump, but to destroy our nation, those extremists, I'm sure, are plotting. You already have Nancy Pelosi saying that her mission in life is to make sure that Trump never sets foot in the White House. Mm-hmm. Jamie Raskin has said that Trump voters can do whatever they want. They can have him win, but there's no way he's going to let him get into the White House. So, we can see the lengths they've gone to before. So what we need to do, and I really appeal to the Christians, the faith-based people in your audience, especially, but, pray like you've never prayed before. I do believe that this was an answer to prayer. People prayed, I think, like they've never prayed before for our election this time around. And we can see that, 2 Chronicles 7:14 says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, I'll hear from heaven and I'll heal their land. And, we have the beginning of that healing now. People prayed. And it's not up to all the people who are not choosing to follow Christ. It's up to those who are. He says, if my people will humble themselves and pray. So we need to be humble. We need to be teachable. We need to treat others, regardless of who they are, with the same treatment that we would like to have, the same respect, everything. We can disagree on policy. We can vehemently disagree. We can fight in courts. We can do whatever to work towards freedom, but we need to honor the Lord in what we do and humble ourselves and pray and seek his face and, ask his forgiveness for our nation. And we have this chance now. So between now and inauguration, I don't know what we'll be facing, but I know the one who knows, so I don't have to fear. I also know that, there's an incredible team of people around Donald Trump right now, a unity team comprised of Democrats, independents, and Republicans. And these are people who are brilliant in so many ways. And I just look and say, we have an incredible opportunity to unite the country and to do real good, to make America healthy again. Thank God for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And I was so encouraged when he said that he has prayed for 19 years every day that God would make a way for him to be able to improve the health for America's children. And oh my goodness, he said, then God brought him Donald Trump. Right. And, to have that opportunity, hopefully we can get rid of the chemtrails in the skies. We can get rid of the fluoride in the water. We can get rid of the vax mandates that, I'm not totally anti-vax, every single vax, but I'm against vax mandates and to not have informed consent. We should have informed consent. I am totally in favor of making sure we protect our food supply and we get all the chemicals out of our food supply. We are being poisoned. And I'm so glad that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is bringing that to light. I'm so glad that Elon Musk is going to use his skills in cutting government waste and, making government more efficient. Praise God. I mean, this is a man who brought us Tesla and SpaceX and, he reduced the cost or the labor force of Twitter, and you still have great Twitter, right? You saw X, right? This is a man who had his rocket ship come right back down into the landing place it was supposed to instead of going in the ocean. He's brilliant, right? He can help us bring our government back under control. Tulsi Gabbard, I mean, what a wonderful patriot she is. We could see Tucker Carlson, a voice for freedom. There's just so many things. And of course, J.D. Vance, the common man. Right, the common man, and I love his stories about his grandmother because his mama, because it just also shows the importance of family relationships, and that no matter what you do in life, we need to take care of our family, and it's God, family, country. And I think that whole mindset is coming back into our culture now, and that's just beyond exciting.
I just love the stories. I just do, because the everyday person, we can all identify with this. We've all had someone who's had drug abuse in the family. Everybody, it's in every family somewhere. But I love those stories. Let's go into a commercial break and we'll return in just a few minutes. Everybody hang in there. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityyusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas, or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462. Good afternoon. We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for being with us every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. I think Linda likes riding home with you in the afternoon as well. So Linda Hansen is with us. I wanted to ask you a question about Herman Cain, because I there was just this fascination with him. He and his wife, to me, she was just a lady. I mean, just perfect yes. Lady. What would he be saying right now about Trump's win last night?
The people have spoken. And I will tell you that the chief of staff, Mark Block, and I talked after the Joe Biden garbage comment, and we texted each other and we're like, we would have Cain in a garbage truck immediately. We would have done it immediately. And of course, soon Donald Trump was in a garbage truck, which was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I love it. And I could just see him. I was telling friends that I could just see Herman Cain with his big smile and his, impish grin, just saying, I got me a garbage truck, or something. But he was great at telling people not to follow the lies, and I mentioned last time his sin tactics. He would talk about how the left would use sin tactics. They'd shift the subject, ignore the facts, and name call because they don't have the arguments that are based in truth and common sense. So they shift the subject, ignore the facts, and then they name call. And that's how they think they can win. Well, the American people woke up. He wrote a book called They Think You're Stupid. And, he would always say, stupid people are running this country, and and I think he would probably realize too, it wasn't just, stupidity, but a lot of ill intent and evil as well for many of them, not all, but I think he'd just be so thrilled. I wish he was here to actually work with President Trump. I wish he was here. His insight, his sense of humor, his business skills, everything would be great for America. And, we lost a great one when we lost him. So, I do. I miss him. And I think he'd probably say, hey, President Trump, how about thinking about 999, the economic plan that would have been great for America. So I'd love to see that.
Last segment, we talked about how Christians were not really getting out like they should and vote. I think not meaning to, I think Kamala helped that. The two young guys were out there, Jesus is, what they said. And then she said, oh, you're at the wrong rally. The small one, she had to say that down the street. I think that woke a lot of Christians up.
Well, I think so too. And, the thing too is like, I'm always thinking politics, right? I'm always glued to things, it's the way I'm wired, right? But average people, and I'm not saying I'm above average, I'm just saying that most people don't. It's, they don't try to multitask and listen to every podcast. They don't try to be on what's, exactly happening today in the legislature or something like that. They're busy, and I get it. I do. Not everyone is called to do what I do or what you do or what Donald Trump does or anybody else. So they just have their lives, they're orthodontists, they're nurses, they're teachers, they're music teachers, they're welders. I mean, they can't do this all the time, right? So I get that. But I think that when moments like that come up, if they can get into the media, people see it. And part of the problem that we've had over these last 4 years, we talked about it earlier, is that they wanted to censor all the media. I mean, we know it's already been uncovered, and it's fact that the Biden administration worked with Facebook and other social media organizations, Google and things, to censor the voices of conservatives. And, so the news can't get out there. And it's just this drip, 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 drip of negativity and things. And pretty soon it's all that people hear, so they think it's truth. Well, you start to get some of these breakout truths that come through, and then they can start to spread like wildfire. So, kudos to Elon Musk for buying Twitter. Right. Kudos to the people that started Rumble as an alternative to YouTube. Kudos to Getter and Truth and others that have started to actually help get the truth out and provide alternate sources. And people are saying too that, streaming TV, streaming podcasts, that is really the future. And you asked what Herman Cain would say. He knew that years ago, as he was a spokesperson on different media outlets. He would tell me back then, streaming is going to be the way of the future, and cable news will be gone. And so I think it's exciting to see the growth of that, and the independent people and the whistleblowers. I think, we see James O'Keefe, people all over the country were armed with hidden cameras where it was legal to have them. Were armed with hidden cameras at polling places. I felt very fortunate where I was working yesterday for Election Day. I worked voter registration all day until we closed, and we had record turnout for new registrations in Wisconsin. You can do same day registration, and we had record turnout. And one of the wards, I don't know about, we have wards, not precincts here in Wisconsin, but it's a similar thing. But one of the wards in the area where I was working too, they had a 92% turnout.
Oh, wow.
It is incredible. That tells me Americans knew, like, they better step up to the plate, right? And but when in the morning, when I got there in the morning, I was told that 61% of the absentee ballots were already in. Like 61% of the vote was already in by absentee and early voting. That's unheard of. It's just unheard of. So again, I go back to, Turning Point and Trump Force 47 and all these people who worked very, very hard to get out the vote. And I'm thankful I could be a part of that. I'm thankful that, even just things that I did on my own. And so to all your listeners, you don't have to wait to be a part of a group either. Like I have a bunch of patriots that I know in my greater neighborhood, right? It probably a 4-mile radius around my house. And I love to walk and run, and I've gotten to meet a lot of them over the years. And, last Monday night, there was a call to prayer for nationwide prayer for everybody to stop at 6 p.m. local time last Monday night, the night before the election, and just ask for God's mercy on America, God's help and, safety for the elections and everything. And so I just made up a flyer and I just went out to, all these people, some who I'd never met, but I thought, they have a flag on their bumper sticker, or, I have a sign in their yard. I just kind of would go up and say, hey, I think we can be friends. And literally we had 40 people. We had 40 people show up. It was incredible. It was incredible. People made new friends. This is what it's about. America is strong because its people are strong. Its families are strong. Its communities are strong. And we have to keep that by being engaged. And we can't wait and let someone else do it.
Let's talk about that a little, because we're going into a new era. I feel the darkness and the dread is, and we'll always have some, but I mean, as a nation, I feel like God's giving us another chance.
Yes.
I don't want to blow it. Okay. So, and I'm sure a lot of Americans out there don't want to blow this chance.
Right.
What do we need to do? If you had a 3-step program, and let's talk again about Prosperity 101, this needs to be a huge part of it right here.
Absolutely. Yes.
So let's talk about that.
Okay. You want me to give 3 points? 1, seek God first.
Okay.
Seek God first. And in America, I saw a quote, I forget who it was. It was one of the early, fathers of the nation. And it was that, America wasn't founded on religion. It was founded on Christianity. And Christianity makes room for all religions because we respect all people. So to those of us who are saying, America needs to come back to these Judeo-Christian principles, we love everybody. We want people to have freedom. And so, but I say to the people who love the Lord, everything is like, seek him first. Seek him first. Okay. So yes, we have to turn back to God, but also we have to defend our Constitution. So to everybody out there, please start to get to know your Constitution. I mean, I'm sure if some of your listeners are sitting in their car driving, or they're maybe at work or cooking dinner, or wherever they listen, they're thinking, when was the last time I read the Constitution, right? And, as lay people, I understand, we're not legal scholars. Sometimes the wording gets a little confusing, but we have to know the Constitution. And at the very least, make sure you know the Bill of Rights, and then ask yourself and ask others, are you voting for a person who will protect your rights? And you mentioned Prosperity 101. I mean, education is such a big part of this. We cannot let America continue the way that we've been in our educational systems, in our workplaces, in our families. We have to teach current and future generations about the freedom that America provides because of these Judeo-Christian principles and because of our founding documents. So for me, that's where Prosperity 101 comes in, because that's my whole goal with what I do, whether it's my book or my online course or the podcast. It's helping people understand how it all connects. And to employers, I just beg you again, employers, you have an incredible opportunity to help us reclaim and preserve America. I want you to be unleashed to reclaim and preserve America, so you can talk to your employees and help them understand why each one of these issues is so critically important to their own livelihood, their own ability to buy a home, their own ability to have health care for their families. You know, we look at Trump's, I mean, just like look at a few of these policies. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. You know, that alone will spur the economy. And I know there's many people like me who have spent time and years out of the workforce or out of regular earnings to take care of relatives, whether it be a sick child or an elderly parent. I took care of my mother, and my mother would feel so bad if she knew, but it nearly bankrupted me. I would do it 100 times over, but the financial stress of that was very, very difficult. And to hear President Trump say, we want to give tax credits to those who are family caregivers, like, oh my goodness, it's putting family first. It's making people understand that these tax policy issues really do affect their daily life. So, you know, please, employers, educate your employees, parents, educate your children. Don't depend on the media or the public schools, or heaven help us, the colleges and higher universities right now, or, you know, higher education institutions, to help people understand the importance of our founding documents and the way American government is supposed to work.
We feel a new era coming in.
I do.
It was just last night. I will have to say this, a little bit of negativity came into me after last night. I thought, well, Trump's won this, but what's going to happen there in the early hours this morning? I mean, I wondered about that. So I was really pleased to wake up to see, because I check all the networks, not just Fox, not just Newsmax. So I even checked CNN, and it said Trump won. Big banner across the website. And I was like, he did win. But I felt like he won last time. But anyway, that's old water. But even they acknowledged Trump won, which was pretty great.
It's a generational mandate. It truly is. America has spoken. Every segment of American society has spoken. We have, I think I wrote down some facts too. I think it was one of the border counties, I forget the name of the county, in Texas. Okay, in Hillary, when Trump and Hillary had the race in 2016, she won, and this time Trump won. It was a Hispanic county, right? Mm-hmm. The swing was 76 points. 76 points different that it swung for Trump. And this was a very Hispanic county. We see minorities all over the nation, stepping up. And we hear so much that these immigrants are fed up with the policies of the Biden administration, the Biden-Harris administration. They're fed up. In Detroit area, they picked up 10 points that they didn't previously have for Trump. This is truly a generational shift. In Nevada, 76% of voters supported voter ID in Nevada. This is huge. I mean, I think voter ID should be everywhere, but that's great. And we had 5 states that had ranked choice voting on the ballots. We could talk about ranked choice voting another episode sometime. We should really probably help people be educated about that. But 5 states had ranked choice voting on the ballots, and all of them were defeated, which is absolutely fantastic. People get disenfranchised with ranked choice voting, and it's really great. I mean, not only is the Electoral College a win, and we need to keep the Electoral College, so we can sure talk about that sometime too, about why we need to keep the Electoral College, but he won the popular vote. I mean, this is incredible. He won the popular vote as well, and it's just incredible.
I mean, again, I'm just overwhelmed. But I wanted to ask a question too about Kamala Harris, because you remember when Hillary lost the election, she wouldn't come back out, and because a good leader, even if you fail, you're going to go out and you're going to thank the people who helped you get as far as you did go.
Right, right. We'll have
Has
humility.
Kamala come out yet?
She did. She did. I was checking that before we got on air, and yes, she has called him. So that is really good. So I did want to point out, I don't know if everybody saw this, but I found it very interesting that when Jill Biden went to the polls yesterday, she was dressed in a red pantsuit. I don't know if everybody saw that, but it was a red jacket and red pants.
That's a no. That's a no, because no one Republican would not wear blue, and
Right.
a Democrat would not wear red.
Right, right. And so it was fascinating to me. And I thought,
I thought you were sending a
message. Yes, yes.
Okay, so I want your opinion about this. Okay, because I feel that President Biden and Jill felt like they were being dumped on, because he did not want to leave. He did not. If you remember the weekend before he leaves out to Camp David, I'm not going anywhere. That was his response. Then he leaves, goes a few days, and he comes back and he's ready to go. Okay, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
So I just wondered about this. I think he was for Trump winning, because, okay, I'm going to say this because Phil and I used to own a Snelling personnel services. Mm-hmm. We used to help people find jobs. So we had a job order. We call them job orders. Had a job order once with a lady who was leaving this business. She wanted to be the one to find her replacement. So I sent all of the candidates to her. Sharp people I was sending. It's like she didn't want anybody better than her. I mean, she wanted to find somebody beneath her so she could leave with a big bang. I caught what she was on to. I sort of feel President Biden was the same way. I sort of feel like, I think that there was something in his craw that he was very offended about. They told him to go. They got rid of him. I mean, they just did.
Well,
they let him play it out. And Kamala comes in without going through any of the things he had to go through in order to get where he was.
Right.
I wondered if secretly he and Jill pulled the lever for Trump.
Who knows? Who knows? And, we can't, only God knows the heart of man, right? Only God knows the thoughts and intents of the heart, right? So we can't really make a judgment on that. But you wore a red pantsuit, which I thought was interesting. And then, it's interesting that the party that wanted to protect democracy, put up a candidate that nobody really voted for. And it's crazy. Not only that, they want to take away the Electoral College. They want to, weaken the effect of the Supreme Court. They, just one thing after another, after another, after another. And people have to realize, we have a constitutional republic. And we have the wonderful 3 branches of our government. That does not mean we have a fourth, a bureaucratic administration, deep swamp fourth. We have 3 branches, and we need to make sure that those 3 branches provide the checks and balances for the other ones, because it's sin is rampant, right? If left to ourselves, often people will not make the best choices. So that's why it goes back to those 3 points you asked me about. We need to put God first. We need to ask for his wisdom, guidance, and direction. And we need to do that with a sense of humility. None of us have all the answers. We don't have all the answers. And, the people on other sides of the fence, that think differently than we do, they can be wonderful people. And I just want to encourage everyone who may be listening, who may feel fearful and believe the lies that the media has been telling you about how horrible the Trump administration is going to be, and he's such a tyrant. And I would say, well, one, look back to the 4 years prior to that. I don't think that's how he governed then. He's not going to do that now. And, those of us who fought this fight for freedom, we want freedom for all people. Not just ourselves.
And we want prosperity for everybody.
Everybody.
So let me ask you a question too about fair tax. So I've done quite a study on fair tax. I like it. I think it's a wonderful thing. Do you think President Trump is actually thinking about something like that? I mean, when you say no taxes, on Social Security and no taxes on, say, there are certain things that make me think he may have a version of something like that in his back pocket.
Oh, I think he's got stuff up. Yes, I do. I actually was on a call earlier today with a bunch of economic experts that have been advisors to me, and we were talking about different tax policy proposals. And, people get so afraid when they hear the word tariff, and they think, oh, we're going to ruin the economy with our tariffs. And I'm like, the Trump tariffs actually helped our economy. And, you tax, Dr. Art Laffer always says, if you tax something less, you get more of it. If you tax it more, you get less of it. So, when we reduce taxes on businesses and individuals, our economy booms. And, we already are seeing, I forget which car company it was, but they were going to build their plant in Mexico. But a couple of weeks ago, they decided that they were halting all production there because they really felt like Trump was going to win, and they didn't want to pay the steep tariffs that he would impact. And so they want to build in America. Well, you build in America, you have jobs, you have prosperity. Some of these Rust Belt cities get back to life. I've been in these empty cities. I've gone to places in Ohio and Michigan and, here in Wisconsin and other places where things have just shut down. And let's put America back to work and bring our economy back in. And, you stop funding these endless wars, and you bring peace and prosperity. You show the world that America is strong. America is prosperous. That's how we do it. We do it peace through strength. And as Herman Cain always said, you asked what would he say? One of his things that he always said was peace through strength and clarity. Okay?
And clarity.
Yes, he was great at simplifying things. He'd always tell me, simplify, simplify, simplify. Anybody who knows him can probably hear his voice in the background. And I hear his voice, and I see his smile, and I know that I was so blessed to work with him. But I've also been so blessed to meet Donald Trump and work with many of the people who have been just absolutely, pivotal in bringing forth this whole mega movement. And I've just been so grateful to be a part of it, and the part that I can play to help educate people. So employers, please get in touch with me, prosperity101.com. I would love to help you educate your employees in a nonpartisan way, just really coaching them to think about these issues. That's where I bring my coaching skills that into play, where it's just asking people questions and helping them kind of figure it out for themselves. Because no one likes to be told what to think or what to believe. People like to figure it out for themselves. And I think it was it Everett Dirksen? I can't remember, but he always said, if people have the right information, they will make the right decision. So it's up to us to make sure we have freedom so people can get the information and they can make informed decisions. So employers, please reach out to me, prosperity101.com, follow me on LinkedIn or Instagram. I love sharing a lot of stories on my Instagram where people can learn things about various issues. And that's what I love doing with my podcast. So people can hear me each week on my podcast, and it's on all regular podcast platforms and also on my website. But a variety of topics, from the border to trafficking to energy to the economy to school choice to just everything that we are dealing with in our nation today, and all tying it back into how does this affect a business? How does this affect a family?
Okay, that was my little timer. We got to call it a day. Linda, thank you for everything you do and for bringing us all that together. That's what we've got to have. We've got to have unity. And thank you so much for everything you say. And thank you guys so much for watching. You're the reason we do this. Let's all bond together, okay? We can make this happen. Absolutely. And we'll be seeing you next time around. Hope you have a super duper awesome rest of the day. Bye-bye.